Hi, Hudson Montessori School. I thought that it would be wise for me to give you an update on our campus closure and a few aspects of that. I'd like to provide this update with focusing on three main topics. The first is I'd like to provide an update on our campus closure. The second is I'd like to provide an update on our approach to distance learning. And then third, I'd like to discuss tuition and finances at Hudson Montessori School. So first, let me talk about our approach to our campus closure. As I communicated to you last week, our campus closure has extended to May 1st. I want to let you know that plans are already in place for an extension in that campus closure. The most immediate would be thinking about if the campus closure extended into May and even potentially through the entire school year. And we have also begun to think about what a campus closure or even a slow phase-in coming back to normalcy looks like for our summer programs at HMS. And even we have begun to discuss what that looks like going into next school year, especially focusing on that phase into normalcy. We're being influenced, or we're getting information from three main sources. The first is at a government level, so we're relying on our state government elected officials as well as medical officials to give us guidance. We're relying also on other independent schools and groups within independent schools that give us best practice information on this topic. And then third, we have our board of trustees and our school administration that are working actively on this topic. The second topic that I want to talk to you about is our approach to distance learning. First thing I want to say, and it seems obvious but important, is to say that we can't replicate through distance learning exactly what goes on at Hudson Montessori School. And I acknowledge that that looks different at the various levels that we provide learning to at our school. The other thing that I want to say is that our approach so far has been robust and impressive. Our teachers are working very hard to provide what we consider to be meaningful learning opportunities, support to you as parents, as well as opportunity for children to connect with their friends and their teachers in a way that unfortunately we can't do. I would like to encourage you to look at our Week at a Glance today. We provided a summary of those learning opportunities in it, and it would be good reading. And then I also want to say that the amount of information that we are sending to you as parents right now is heavy, and you are getting a lot of it and often in rapid fashion, and that can be difficult to manage. My hope is that as we slide into a rhythm in this distance routine, that the information that you receive will become more predictable and manageable. The other topic as it relates to distance learning relates to this idea that these are truly unprecedented times that we are living in. And they are ones that 3 weeks ago none of us would even have considered. And so your lives and your children's lives have changed. And your routines have changed dramatically. We know how important routines are for all of us, but especially children. And so as we continue into distance learning, I would encourage you to try your best to set up a routine for your child. Where appropriate, give them voice and choice in the routine. They will feel more in control and they will feel more excited about their routine. We have tried to provide optional learning opportunities for our students that you can choose whether or not you would engage in. And some of it may just be based on what's going on at home that day or what your child is interested in. But those are truly optional learning opportunities. I also want to talk about lives of parents. So we as parents, our lives have changed. Our work lives have changed. Our home lives have changed, and this can be overwhelming. And I want to acknowledge that. And if it hasn't happened to you, to say it probably will happen. But I also want to say that when you are overwhelmed, your child will feel overwhelmed. And so I would encourage us all to do, and this is including me, is when that occurs is to step back and try to peel off some of those responsibilities that we feel we have to meet. And if that means that it has to be through the learning opportunities that we are providing, that is fine. Because ultimately, if you are feeling assured about your routines or what your responsibilities are, your children will also feel that as well. Tied to this is, I want to encourage you to trust the observations that you're making of your children. If your children are appearing to be impacted by this entire situation about coronavirus, not seeing their friends, not going to school, or our approach to distance learning, if they're feeling overwhelmed, trust that and back off. Let them back off. Help them back off. It's something that we would do at school, but we do it a lot, that if we see a child just on a daily basis, if we need to adjust, we do that. I want to encourage you to do that because your child is telling you they need that opportunity. Your child's teacher, once you see that, I would encourage you to reach out to your child's teacher, share those observations, and together you and your child's teacher can figure out a way to re-enter into a routine that is appropriate for your child. The third and final topic that I want to talk about is the tuition that you are paying to Hudson Montessori School and the finances of our school. The first thing that I want to acknowledge is that you are paying tuition for a school that is not operating as it was 3 weeks ago. And I want to acknowledge that. I also want to say that where we can, we have already started to look for ways to address our costs. We have been looking at auxiliary programs like before hours and after hours and clubs, as well as trips that we've had to cancel, and begin to process through refunds and credits for those things that aren't being provided. So this would be different from our distance learning that's being provided. At the same time, we as a school are committed to paying our employees. We are doing this for two reasons. The first is, while we're not on campus, our employees are continuing to work and fulfilling their responsibilities. And the second is that we think that that's the right thing to do, is to continue to compensate our employees through this difficult time. As we do that, it's important to note that employees are our biggest expense at HMS. They compose about 70% of our operating expenses. Additionally, the other 30% at this point of our year, of our school year, of our fiscal year, most of those expenses have been realized. Things like supplies for classrooms, supplies for our campus, various contracts to maintain our campus. Those have all been entered into, and those expenses are realized at this point. On the revenue side, tuition revenue is about 80% of our total revenues. And the additional 20% comes through various sources. One is the Hudson Montessori Fund, which this community has rallied behind this year and supported generously. We are thankful for that. But another one, and an important one, is our annual auction, which was going to occur in a few weeks, and we have canceled that, and so that is going to have an impact on our finances. So kind of merging those two things together, it is important to note that the Board of Trustees and I are looking at ways to acknowledge and the tuition that you continue to pay with those realities of meeting our expenses, and most importantly, our employees at Hudson Montessori School. We lead into that by acknowledging that and realizing that we are a nonprofit, that we aren't in existence to make a profit, but that we are to cover our expenses in a way that allows us to meet and continue our mission. We also are doing that by engaging in federal relief programs that are becoming now known to us at Hudson Montessori School just in the last few days. And so we are aware of those, and where appropriate, we are pursuing those. So my commitment to you and the Board of Trustees is to keep you apprised of that topic, this idea of tuition and our commitment to our employees, and keep you aware of that. In closing, I want to just talk a little bit and tie back to these learning opportunities that we are trying to provide for your children. And I guess the way I want to start is that I actually think that coming out of this coronavirus, I'm not trying to underestimate the true, really horror that is kind of going around with this situation, but there can be silver linings for families. So one that I want to note is we try so hard to build resilience in children. We know that that is critical to them growing up to be confident and successful and well-positioned adults, and we try to do that at Hudson Montessori School. And so this opportunity, or this situation, is providing opportunity to build resilience. And we may not realize it now, it may be many years down the road, but my hope is that, and my expectation is that students and children are building resilience at this time. The other is that connection that is being established by families and in families it truly is unprecedented as well. 3 weeks ago, probably the amount of family connection isn't what it is today, and I think that that is going to have a positive impact as well, bringing families close together. And then finally, I'd like to just close with that I have the advantage of being the head of school of seeing these great examples of children finding creativity and joy in this situation. So an example that I would think about is I saw there was a boy in one of our lower elementary classes. He's studying the political map of the United States, learning the states and the capitals, and had the map that he was filling out. He and his mom realized that they have a cheese plate in their house that has the map of the United States with all this information. So they got that plate out. It was sort of creative, and they had fun with it. And he was learning his states and his capitals. And we're just trying to find those silver linings. And that's just one. And you're probably thinking of others that are going on in your house. And I just want to close and this video update is kind of bringing us back to that, is really focusing on ways that our children can pull through this successfully, which I know that we will do and that our school will do. In the future, I'm committed to giving you updates. I'm not sure if they'll be in writing or in video, but please know that I'll be doing that, and I'm available for your questions or your thoughts or your observations. So thanks for tuning in to this video update. Have a nice day.